good evening. Here at the MOB Financial Academy, we're traveling this week. I'm here in Florida visiting my parents. Thank you, all of you who are joining us. It is probably a mad dash for some of you to grab those last gifts and preparations, maybe even finalizing travel plans to go and see friends and family. But thank you for joining me. We're here with you to support you and really culminate it around how to survive generosity without ending up in debt. There you go. You can see my presentation's up. So we are going to get right to it. I've not already exhausted all your capital or broken your budget, but you've been heeding some of the things we've been telling you. And we're just going to reiterate and go through some of those things just as a last minute reminder. The gift of generosity, how to give without going broke, how to avoid that January regret. So as usual, we start with a scripture reference. Acts 20:35 will be our focus. It is more blessed to give than to receive. I know you've heard this, whether you're a believer, a person of faith or not. This is commonly quoted that it is better to give than to receive. And it's really about generosity and gratitude is the focus of the scripture. But let's look at our translation for today. Giving produces joy. That's completely true. But overgiving produces stress. Wise generosity is the blessing. Wise, being wise with your generosity. If you've joined us at the Minding Our Business Academy before, you know I'm really focused around planning, budgeting. Those things are very important. Having a plan before you enter into the season, before you begin to spend the money, so that you can avoid that regret in January. So many Americans, we go out, we buy new decorations, we travel, we buy gifts for everyone. And it's all just centered around pressure. There's a lot of societal pressure to give to various organizations. As if you're a faith-based person, maybe your church did an end of year giving campaign. Again, if you're part of a corporate structure, you're probably attending holiday parties. There's some pressure to give there as well. If you're part of a large family and you guys gather together, there's pressure there to give and to match and to be like for like or equivalent in how much you spend and how big the gift is, and just be one for one with all the people that are giving to you and giving back to them. And this can put you in a tremendous financial hole. This can set you back when it comes to January if you're relying on your credit cards to fund all of these things that you are doing for the holiday season. But I'm hoping tonight that I can give you some last minute thoughts, some last minute ideas, some last minute tools that you can use to get the train back on the rails when you begin to look at those credit card statements and begin to make those goals, resolutions, whatever you want to call it in January. The problem, most of us overspend. Why does that overspending happen? There's a myriad of reasons, but I just listed kind of the top 3 here for you. People do not give within their limits. Again, there's that pressure to match, the pressure to equal what someone else has given you. They don't have a plan for their gifting. They don't have categories. They don't have individualized budgets for the people they're giving to. Again, last week, if you did not join us, be sure to go on YouTube and catch that replay. We talked about the different options that you can employ, how to set giving limits per person within your family. Maybe you have certain limits for your nucleus family, the kids and spouse, and maybe you have smaller budgets for the people in the extended family, and then within the office and organizations and different situations you might be in where there's a little bit of pressure, there's a little bit of competition to fit in and to give and to reciprocate the giving that other people are experiencing with you. And then there's just people are confused. They think that this is the season that they have to just exhaust themselves just trying to meet the needs of others, people pleasing. So those are the things I want you to avoid, because those are the emotions that lead to the behaviors that lead to debt regret, anxiety, and just overall tension in relationships. And all of that usually hits us in January when we realize the extent of how much we overspent in December during the holiday season. So what I'm going to do again is try to give you some guardrails, a framework around how you can set up some guardrails for yourself. I think of bowling when I think of guardrails, right? If you've ever been bowling with a small child, they'll put the rails up. Some people just go ahead and add the rails if you're not a particularly good bowler. And no matter where you throw that ball, the guardrails will bounce that ball and center it so it's hitting the pins in the center of the aisle. And that's what I would like you to do with your budget. That is what setting these individual budgets are when you're dealing with people and gifting. Those are guardrails. Those help you to go from beyond what you're willing to spend. And even I encountered it this year. I had set my budget for all my children. And then I realized for some reason I was in the store buying a bunch of stuff. When I got home, looked at my spreadsheet, looked at what I spent, I realized I almost doubled the budget on one of my kids. And then I had to make some hard decisions on what gifts I were going to keep to stay within budget and what I was going to return, what they really didn't need. So those are hopefully the conversations you're having. I know when you're out in the store, things become attractive, you're buying things, but hopefully when you get back, you have a bit of reckoning, a moment of reason where you pull out your spreadsheet, you pull out your budget you had for each person. You go over your receipts, you look at the gifts, make sure you stayed within budget. And if you didn't, make some hard decisions, remove some items out of that portfolio of gifts that you're getting that person and return those items. And not only does that reduce your anxiety, that's a commitment you're making to yourself and you're honoring that commitment. And that will speak wonders for your character to keep those commitments to yourself. And most of all, your financial literacy, your financial IQ begins to increase because you're setting limits and staying within those limits. So it's extremely important that we learn these guardrails. So guardrail number one, we've talked about it up until this point. Give within your means. Review your current budget, review what you've spent, and make some decisions around, like I said last week, what is a priority? What are things that you have to get? And what are things that are just wants and needs that are secondary items that you could maybe remove or reduce the amount of money you're going to spend on those things? Set a total budget. We talked about this. Travel, food, decorations, all the other cursory things that we do not necessarily factor in our budget. Those are things we're spending money on, not just the gifts. So please download our gift tracker, our holiday gift tracker. Drop a comment in the chat, say gift tracker, we'll send it to you. There's a section in there where you can add your travel, you can add food, you can add decorations, you can add all of that. So you're getting a real transparent view at what your total spend was for the holiday season. Don't just look at what you spent on gifts, because you spent a lot of money on lights and inflatables and a bunch of other things as well. Here's a next framework. I just kind of leaned into it a little bit. Give what matters. Don't give to impress people. Stay off of social media. Don't look at what other people are getting as they begin to show pictures of keys and cars with bows on them and vacations and different things. If those things are outside your means, don't even expose yourself to those things. So you have this fear of missing out. We call it FOMO. So try to avoid that. Really, again, if you set a plan, if you set a budget for each individual person, you're doing that before you hit the stores. You're doing it with a level head. You're doing it looking at your budget. So you're giving within your means. You're not just allowing the sales. You're not just allowing the 50% off this, the buy one, get one, and all those things to really have your budget creep and creep and creep into overspending category. And then look at thoughtful things you can do. So I'll give you a couple examples here. Maybe it's a thoughtful letter. Maybe it's going through old pictures and finding an old picture and getting it made into a piece of artwork or canvas or something of that nature. And it's a more reasonable priced gift, but it's a more cherished and thoughtful gift to the recipient who's receiving that thing. Maybe it's an experience. Maybe it's gathering together, going on a hike together as a family. It's cold now, so it's a little different. You can't do things in most places. Well, here in Florida, it was kind of warm today. But if you're in the Northeast, if you're in the Midwest, you're going through this cold snap right now. Maybe you gather together and do a game night at one of the family members' house. And that experience is way more profound. Or maybe you have some fun and create a competition. You buy a couple gift cards, and then the winners of the games, they win the gift cards or something of that nature. So there's still some giving, there's still some gifting involved, but you're not compelled to gift everyone who attends. Just take a look at what guardrails you can put in place to keep your spending on track. And then use gift lists, personal budgets for each of the members of the family. And I just talked about that, how you can set budgets for the core nucleus family, the extended family, friends, office mates, and such. Set giving limits for that. Maybe it's a number of gifts. This is particularly important with your nucleus family, your spouse, and your children. Maybe you limit it to a certain number of gifts this year and just give higher quality gifts, but fewer of them. And that will help you stay on budget. And then ultimately, you want to have a cap, having a cutoff point. Maybe this weekend is your cutoff point. Maybe last weekend was your cutoff point. And now this is your no spend period. You're trying not to spend any money for this week. Maybe you do your grocery shopping this weekend and you've capped off your spending for the holiday season. So there's many creative ways that we can set these guardrails and get them in place so we do not overspend. Budget, stay to the budget, limit yourself, and then execute exclusively on the budget. And like the story I tell earlier, if you're in the store and you do find something that's really attractive and it's a deal and all the different justifications we use, when you get back, you have a moment where you actually sit down, look at your spreadsheet, look at your receipts, look at what you actually spend, and then you realize, okay, I overdid it in some areas. Some of these things are going to go back. You make a decision on them, and then you execute based on that decision. So I'm not telling you to do anything that I'm not doing myself. Hopefully my moment of transparency was helpful for you. So in review, generosity is good. It is better to give than to receive. But what I want you to do is give thoughtfully. I gave you several examples tonight of how you can manufacture thoughtful gifts, not necessarily expensive gifts. Overspending is not generosity. Overspending is mismanagement. It's poor stewardship. And I want you to really remember that. These things that you're buying for people that you're going over budget on, in 6 months, 12 months, they won't even remember the things that you got them. So keep that in mind as you make a decision on your budget, as you make a decision on your number of gifts. Really try to make these things significant and lasting, or things that they will use regularly, not just a one-off gift that they may never actually use or cherish. And then remember, throughout this season, you can be joyful, you can give wisely, you can survive the Christmas season with some money in the bank. So the goal is not to get to zero. The goal is not to meet everyone's wants. The goal is not to please everyone. The goal is to be generous, be appreciative of the people who are in your life, and do that within reason and with limits. So God calls us, as it says on this slide, to give, not to drown in debt. And my prayer for you is that you will leverage some of these tools. Again, go ahead, drop a gift in the chat or in the comments, and we'll get you a copy of that holiday gift spending tracker. So it might be something you begin to work on for next year. But again, we want to give you some tools and some resources to empower you through this holiday season. So the very best way that you can begin to incorporate some of these stewardship practices within your life is by joining us in the Minding Our Business Financial Academy. We're still running the 50% off promotion through the end of the year. If you want to gift that, that would be a great gift to gift one of your friends and family. Gift them the membership to the Academy so they can build their financial literacy, they can build their financial management skills, and they can become good stewards of the resources God is blessing them with. So I've talked about it. All the things that are included, bi-weekly coaching calls, one-on-one sessions with myself to review where you are, plan what your goals are, help you reach these milestones. There's a vault of videos for you to take advantage of, different lessons that I've taught, different frameworks from the 10-10-80 budget, the 7-account framework, how to begin investing. All those things are included. And most of all, you'll be joining a group of like-minded individuals where you can build synergy, you can have conversation, you can be encouraged towards being a great financial steward. So I just want to thank you personally for joining us tonight. We will not go live on Christmas Eve. Many of you will be in church, and we 100% support that. Go out, worship. Jesus is the reason for the season. So we want to keep that as the number one priority. So as we end the year, we will come to you one last time before the end of December. But my wish for you is that you would begin to employ some of these resources that we're sharing with you. You would set these parameters and these guardrails on your spending, and that way you can end this year without regret, without a large amount of debt, and without feeling like you did too much trying to please the people in your life. So again, if you want any of the free resources, like it says here in the slide, comment, give. We'll get that holiday budgeting worksheet to you. And then as we're ending out the year, we're building out our planning workbook. So we'll get you a workbook to begin planning your 2026. You can add in your milestones, the vacations, the holidays, and you can begin budgeting for all these things. And you can start allocating resources as soon as January in very small increments, so that when you get around to the holiday season, when you get around to the vacations, when you get around to the birthdays, you already have resources allocated and funded accounts for that purpose. Hopefully, you will end the year looking back on 2025, having picked up some stewardship skills, and looking into 2026 saying, I'm going to manage God's resources in a better way. As we always say, stop scrolling, stop the social media, stop looking at what other people are doing. Go out, mind your business, start managing your resources. Thanks for joining us at the MOB Academy. Now stop scrolling and go mind your business.